Okay. Why do I see my... Oh, is Albert... One sec. Coach myself. Coach myself. Exactly. Yeah. Okay. Actually, what I was going to say is, what's your first move here? Oh, I need to turn you up 1 second.
My first move is black.
Yeah.
I particularly hate queen pawn up. I always panic and do something random. This one.
Okay, so, and what's your move against c4 here?
That's weird. I can't resign on the analysis board. If I can't do that, I go here.
Okay, so all right, let's do a little bit of review then. So what I want you to play is actually what the other night we were kind of looking at. Let me flip. You can flip the board, by the way. If you click that cogwheel near the black name top, you just flip the board. So right. So what I'm going to recommend is the other night when I was playing against both Jana and yourself, the system that I was recommending was to push this pawn forward.
Oh, is it to prepare for d5?
Well, basically, it's just to develop your bishop very quickly and get your king out of the center.
I see. Okay.
And so normally white will say move a knight here, and now you move this bishop out.
Yeah, you do it anyway.
Right. So basically do it no matter what. If your opponent tries to stop it with like a pawn push, then you would start to push your pawns like in the center here right away.
Okay.
So the point behind the system is basically you just get very quick development. Let's say white moves this knight out here. You actually don't need to capture this knight unless you're forced to. And then you castle your king. Let's say white plays this move to develop his bishop. And now you would go pawn here. Bishop here.
You said don't take the knight unless I'm forced to.
Right. So in this position, actually, you know what? You're one of the best players in the tournament. You know what? Why not? I'll show you something different. Right. So, okay, here's what you're going to do. You're going to take this pawn, or this knight, rather. White will take back. And now you're going to push this pawn forward.
Yeah, and then he'd triple up his pawns.
Right.
And then at this point, even if you lose the match, like, at least, hey, I'm not the idiot who tripled up their pawns.
Right. Well, I mean, you're going to win if someone does this. Because what happens when white captures is now you can put your queen here. You attack both of these pawns.
Okay.
And if white tries to defend, you can just capture a pawn. And you play the basically more or less you play the same idea, always putting the bishop on this long diagonal towards the knight, the pawn, and the rook.
Yeah, the bishop house. I like it.
Sorry, what'd you say?
I was just saying I like this.
So, okay, so when you push this pawn, one thing that's very important here, and this is why, like, objectively this is fine for white, but only if you're like at grandmaster level, is because it's very hard to play this since this bishop is stuck behind this wall of pawns. So, like, if you're a grandmaster, you'll know what to do, but I'm not going to treat this like a grandmaster because no one will play like a grandmaster in this tournament. So, let's say white develops the bishop, okay?
Okay.
So, you bring this knight out. Let's say white castles. And now you develop this pawn.
Oh, yes, yes.
Or sorry, not develop the pawn, but you push it up to protect this pawn. But your next move basically is when white pushes this pawn forward to take the center. You meet it by pushing your pawn forward. And the idea is that you can bring your bishop out, and you can put pressure on the queen and the knight with this pin.
Yeah, I see. And then his only like solution to get out of it is to do this, which he doesn't want to do.
Exactly. Yeah. So this is just actually what I would recommend you do because nobody in the tournament will be capable of playing the structure well. If you really know what you're doing, like as a grandmaster, white is probably okay, but it's way too advanced for anyone to really understand the deep ideas.
Wait, what if he does that one move?
Which one?
D5.
Yeah, so D5 is actually a very bad move because now what you do is you bring your knight back.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, all you have to do is just bring your knight back and it's fine.
So do you know what the King's Indian defense is?
Nope.
Okay, so it's not really relevant that you know what the system is, but the point is that when white closes the center here, your next move is going to be to move your knight back. Let's just say white plays a normal looking move. Actually, let's say white plays a very thematic move like pawn push. You're going to bring your knight back.
That feels so wrong.
Well, the problem here, though, is it's very hard to develop. Like, you see your rooks are stuck behind. You don't really have open files for your rooks here.
Yeah, aren't I making backwards progress? I'm moving my knight back.
Well, what you do here is you prepare to push this pawn forward and then activate the rook on this f file.
I see, but does something bad happen if I go here instead?
Okay, so if you go here, there's a tactic for white.
Is it pawn out? Chase the knight?
Well, that
And
just
force it
chases the
back?
knight away. That would actually be a very bad move. Because if white
Oh.
pushes his pawn, you can move your knight up here.
Oh. So
And
there's
now
a-
you start
you're
to
saying
try and attack every which way.
There's a way for white to win this knight if I move here?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so it makes me think of this diagonal. Okay, besides like asking nicely, I don't see how white can win this knight.
Okay, so what white does is knight takes pawn.
You're forced to take back. You lose this pawn.
And now you're down a pawn.
And then also this guy's like kind of hanging. This guy can push.
Right.
I see. Yeah. It's,
And
you're
by
not
the
losing a
way,
full knight, but it's bad.
this is a common theme. Like you might see this in some of your games where someone puts a knight or they put like a knight on the edge specifically, and there's some kind of discovery where you can move a knight out of the way to attack it. So that's why in this position, the way you would play as you bring the knight back is now you want to push this pawn and open up this file for your rook, basically. And if you can, let me just make a couple of moves. Let's say you get this position. Let's say white moves the queen up here. As I asked before, you don't understand what the King's Indian is, but there is a very important concept here that you should understand.
Very important concept. Okay, hit me
Which
with
is
it.
that you push the pawn. So you attack the bishop. Now you
Force him
probably
back.
think in this position, why don't you capture this pawn and open up the file for the rook, right?
Yes.
So the reason you don't do that is because now you go all in, you get very aggressive, and now you push this pawn.
The super aggressive one square pawn push. I like it.
Well, okay, so what do you think your next move is here? This is the key point.
Well, considering this was the previous move, the only thing I can think of that this sets up towards is this.
Right. So what you do is you do attack. You push the pawn.
I'm trying to understand it. 1 second. Is it because...
So
this
basically,
looks like a really solid defense instead of an
so
attack.
don't think about it as one move. There's a very basic plan that you have here. So this is why I asked earlier if you understood what the King's Indian is, because what you're gonna do here is actually you play white. So let's just play this out for a couple of moves so you see what my idea is.
Okay. Oh, I'm playing white. Let me flip the board.
Sure.
Okay, so... Wait, this is bullshit. As white, I don't have any moves.
So yeah,
That
like
is not-
basically your
this
rook
isn't
attacks
good.
nothing. Okay, so now I'll show you what you want to do here. So let's just say white plays a move like this. You would now
Okay.
move your knight up here.
Claim the space.
Right. And let's just say, I don't know, it's hard for me to find moves that make sense for white here, but let's just say I move my rook here.
Yeah. Yeah, nothing feels good on white here.
And now you start pushing the pawns up the board.
Yeah, the pawn storm.
And if white does this move, your next move would be to move your rook up.
Oh, and prepare for that?
Yes, and then what's your next move after that? So let me just make a couple of random moves. What's your next move?
My next move... Well, since I've spent so much time preparing this, I have 1, 2, 3 layers of protection. Oh, 4. So yeah, for sure, like... It feels like we've spent so much time setting up for this G and F pawn push.
Right, so this is exactly the point behind pushing this pawn, is that white can't really let you push the pawn forward, because then you just start storming with all your pawns, your rooks, and your knight, and everything's just coming down the board really, really fast.
And not only that, but there's just like nothing white can do on this side.
Exactly, yeah, it's completely closed. So this
Okay.
is very, very strong.
Is the London a thing that you can only do in response to queen d4 or
No, so you can play the London system here, which is to bring your bishop out. And the point behind this system is that normally, like if you were to push the pawn, then white will push this pawn. And he has a very simple idea of development with bringing out the bishop, the knight, and getting the king out of the center of the board.
Wait, is the London a response for black, or is it an opening for white?
It's an opening for white. It's an opening where white pushes the pawn and then moves the bishop out on the second move.
Oh, okay. I feel like, or you were mostly telling me how to play as like the black pieces here.
Yeah, this is with the black pieces, not the white pieces, because I asked you what you did against d4, and you didn't have a set idea, and you haven't seen the London, right?
And you're teaching me a good way to respond to it.
Yeah, so this is kind of funny because literally I was showing Fusely how to play this with white. So so now I'm going to show you exactly what I would recommend against a lot of the players in the event. So what I would recommend is that you push this pawn forward.
Okay.
So
there's no way he would push this, right?
Well, the problem with
his queen out.
So sorry, my chat's just writing something really funny. So what I was gonna say is when white brings out this bishop on the second move, there is a drawback, which is that basically that black can bring the queen out very early and attack this pawn because you brought the bishop out on the second move.
Oh, it's like a rare situation where getting queen out is actually like really good.
Right, because white has brought the bishop. So like if you do normal development, white almost always is going to get the setup bringing the knight and the bishop and the king out of the center of the board. So
but isn't this this queen attack, isn't that just like countered by one pawn move?
Yes, it is. So let me see. How do I put this? Okay, so when you push the pawn, white normally is going to push this pawn to develop the bishop.
Yes.
So now you bring this queen out. And white pushes this pawn. What am I going to recommend that you do? I try to think of something to recommend that you do that works. That doesn't.
Well, now I want my bishop to be here, right?
Yeah. So what I would say is now you push the pawn, and you put the bishop here, and you try to attack on this diagonal.
Yes.
And down the road, you're going to play in the center of the board by bringing your knight and pushing your pawns to d6 and e5.
Okay. And then I guess like the queen isn't really doing much there, but like she wasn't doing much back at home either.
Right. So it's not really that big of a drawback having the queen here.
Okay.
So this is what I recommend against London. What colors do you have? Do you have white or black to start?
Oh, on the schedule, I don't have the schedule.
I'll pull it up then. I'll pull it up.
Can you also send me the link on Discord?
Sure. Yeah. Of course I can. Actually, I'll just pop it up on my. Where do I have it? I have it here. 1 second. Let me pull it up for 1 second. Okay. Yeah. Sure. Let me just see. Okay. Very quickly, you play. Right. So you play on June 7th, and you have black. Okay. You have black against Ludwig to start. Okay. All right.
Did they choose the colors randomly?
Yeah, I think it's completely random. Completely random. But it shouldn't be a big deal. But you have black to start, so that's why I think actually it's very important that that we look at the black stuff specifically. Because if you have 2 blacks and 1 white, I think it's much more important, at least in the first game, that you start off well. Because I think Ludwig is actually probably the other player in your group who is good. Now, to be fair, Ludwig doesn't play d4. He plays e4 on move 1, so you're not in danger of these systems happening. But it's still, I think, is important to take a look at this. So, all right. So I guess what I would say is, in general, against this, you can push the pawn and develop your bishop. And this is the Nimzo Indian defense, which is very well. Okay, Ludwig is in my chat, so I know he doesn't play d4, but this is funny.
Yeah, I'd be absolutely devastated if he were to play d4. I have 0 prep against it.
Anyway, yeah, I know Ludwig plays e4. I've seen enough of his games, so this is this will be this will be fine. Right. So what did you ask me specifically about? It was c4, right? More than e4, or was it e4 that you wanted help with?
C4.
Right.
It's something that I see pretty often.
Wow, really? You see c4 in your games pretty often?
Yes. And
wow.
I have no idea what to do against it.
Okay, so there are a couple options that you can do against c4. First of all, you can try to play the same setup where you bring your knight out, and if white pushes the pawn, you can push your pawn and you actually transpose back into the stuff we were just looking at.
Okay.
And if white doesn't do that, let's say white brings the knight out, there are a couple options that I would recommend. But what do you normally play against e4? Just so I have an idea of the pawn structures.
Let me see. So I feel like I go here. I don't know if it's correct. It's just what I've been doing.
No, I meant against e4 actually.
Oh, against e4.
Okay, so you play e5. Okay, I wanted to get an idea of what sort of setup you play. I mean, we don't need to look at e4 that much because I sure Ludwig is watching. But yeah, so the reason that I wanted to see that though is see if there's some way that you can connect all the different opening setups that you do in a way that's familiar. So against c4, I actually would recommend then that you push this pawn here. If your opponent brings the knight out, I'm going to recommend that you bring your knight out like this.
Uh-huh.
And your idea here is kind of, you play e4 with white, right?
Yes.
So, okay, now let's say white pushes this pawn here, because this is a very normal setup.
Okay.
You would now push your pawn. White captures and goes here. And now, white's threatening to win this knight, right?
Yes, but there's a genius square my knight can go to.
Which is?
I don't know. I just felt like that's what you were going to say.
Yeah, so you can bring the knight back here. And actually, what I was going to say is if you're looking at the position, weirdly enough, this is like playing a Sicilian defense, but with the colors reversed. So like if we go back to move one, what I was going to say is this is you see this opening? This is the Sicilian defense.
Wait. Okay.
So now let's compare that with this position. Do you see it's the same thing, except white has one extra move? So you see it's a reverse Sicilian. It's just here you're playing with the black pieces, not the white pieces.
Yes.
So,
I see. And then, like, by linking that together, it becomes a setup that you can play on both white and black, and then it's, like, more comfortable.
Right, and it's also something that you probably... I assume you're playing the open Sicilian, right? With white? Sorry, by open Sicilian, I mean you're playing knight f3 on move 2 or not?
Okay, I'm going to ask a question.
Sure.
You have to promise not to laugh. What's a Sicilian?
So, okay, so the Sicilian is when white pushes the pawn forward and black replies with the pawn to c5.
Okay, so Sicilian is something that the black does in response.
Right, so the openings where black chooses against e4 specifically is... So if black pushes this pawn, this is the French defense. If black pushes this pawn, this is called the Scandinavian defense. If black pushes this pawn, this is called the modern defense. If black pushes this one, this is called the Sicilian defense. And if black pushes this one, this is called the Caro-Kann defense.
Will this be on the test tomorrow?
No, it won't be. And I think most people are either going to... The only one where white chooses the opening is if black pushes this pawn, for the most part. Because normally what happens is after this move and this move, white has all the choices between this move, which is called the Ruy Lopez, or the bishop here, which is called the Italian opening, or white can push the pawn, which is called the Scotch opening.
Ah, yes. I do like the Scotch opening.
Oh, it's a very, very good defense. So that's why, like, when I asked you about the Sicilian, it's when black meets this pawn push with the pawn push to the bishop on the right of the queen.
Okay. Wait, so then let's go back to your original question earlier, where we were talking about how, like, we're doing a reverse Sicilian.
Right. So what I was going to ask
first
you was with white against e4, c5, was your next move to bring the knight out?
Oh, as white is my next move to bring the knight out.
Right. Which defense were you going to play here?
$5,
I spent a couple hours yesterday studying with Gotham Chess, and he showed me something that involves this move instead.
Okay, so he showed you the closed Sicilian with the pawn push and the bishop fianchetto, right?
Yes.
Good. Okay. No, it doesn't really. It's not a big deal. I just wanted to know what you were going to play. Okay, so now let's. Okay, you know what? Then that's perfect. So you know what? You're not going to play knight f6 then. You're going to play knight to c6 on your second move.
Yes.
And now let's say white pushes the pawn. What's your next move?
Oh, wait, we keep flip-flopping. I thought I was white now. Okay.
No,
okay,
you're
I'm going back
black.
to
You're black here.
Okay. So as black, I'm pretty sure I go here now.
No. So actually what you do... No, I mean, you have the right idea, but the move is you push this pawn.
Wait, I can't see the move you're making.
This one? G6?
Oh, there we go. I'm setting up the house on the other side.
You're actually playing a close Sicilian, except you're black here. So
I'm setting up the bishop frappuccino on the left side.
Right, exactly. But it's the same thing. So like flip the board and look at this from the white perspective for 1 second, okay?
Okay.
So do you see the moves I'm making?
Yes.
So Gotham Chess surely showed you this pawn push, right?
Yes.
Okay.
But I thought I did it on this side.
No, this is correct.
Oh, okay. Okay, now I think I'm getting it. Yes.
So the point I was going to make is if you look at this position, okay? Just so look at this position for 1 second.
I'm looking.
Okay, and now okay, so now let's look at this position. Do you see the difference?
How did you just like warp it?
Because you're going to
Oh
be
my God.
playing the closed Sicilian, but as black now. So you're going to be playing the same system, but with the black pieces.
I see. Could you go back to the original one?
Sure. Yeah. Okay.
Oh my God, this is like an eye exam. 1, 2, 1, 2. Okay. Yes, I understand. So what question am I answering?
So what I was going to say is you're actually going to be now flip the board so that you're black again.
Yes. Okay. So I see the similarities.
So you're actually playing the exact same setup that Gotham Chess prepared for you yesterday, but with the black pieces.
I see. And then this is something that I can do. Now I can do it every game instead of only when I'm white.
Right, exactly. If your opponent plays c4 with white.
Oh.
So what would your next move be?
I want to say I ignore this threat and I just go set up the Frappuccino.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
I just want to know, just try to remember what you looked at yesterday with white, and now remember that it's the same thing, even if you're black. So let me push the pawn. I assume you looked at this, but I'll just make a couple moves.
It's one of these two moves now. Oh, wait. Actually, I feel like I was supposed to make this move at some point, but since you don't have a knight on this square, I don't need to make that move yet.
Correct.
Okay, so then it's between the knight move, knight e7, and pawn d6. I think the pawn d6 one is better, but I feel like the order doesn't matter that much.
So let me bring my knight out.
Okay, so now that you have a knight out, I'm a little scared of that bishop move, so I prepare for that.
I will castle my king.
And then I continue setting up my knight to e7.
Right, and now I'll move my rook, for example.
And then castle, and then the setup is complete. Oh, it's
Right.
almost complete.
Right, so okay, let me just make a random move like this. What's your next move?
Pawn f5.
Exactly. So basically the point is with the c4 move, you can basically flip it around and play the exact same setup that you're going to play with white, which essentially means that as long as you remember how to play it with the white pieces, you can just play it with the black pieces.
I see.
So that actually, like, you're able to take a system that you play as white and then play it from the other side, so you don't actually need to have a special system against this.
Okay.
So just basically when you look at what you're playing with white, just remember that you can play it from you can play it from the black side as well.
And yeah, I just let white have like one free move.
Right.
And
Right.
otherwise do the same setup.
Yeah, and it doesn't really make that big of a difference because you get the same sort of setup, and you play it. The king side is different for. Wait, you were confused because the king side is different. Someone in my chat said that you were confused by the setup.
Oh, I was just confused by the pieces switching from the left to the right side. It's fine. I understand it now.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I mean, basically the difference was with white. It was just a white pawn on e4 and black pawn on c5. Whereas here it's a white pawn on c4 and the black pawn on e5. But you're just playing with, you know, the opposite. You're playing the same system on both sides. When you're white, you're playing e4, and when you're black, like it's c4 e5. So it's just a reverse Sicilian, but you can play the same system, the same setup that you want to that you're playing with the white pieces as well.
Okay, so I have a question.
Ask away. Yeah.
Can we go back to like after that was all set up?
Sure. Okay. 1 second.
Oh, you're just making the moves from memory.
Right. So G3, G6. Right. So what was your question?
So after like this, I don't know what it's called, but like the whole setting up for this one pawn f4 or f5 push. It's called the Vienna defense, I think. Right? The Vienna?
Not as far as I know.
Oh, it's not? What is this called?
This is called the closed Sicilian.
Oh no. Oh no, the closed Sicilian?
Yeah.
Oh, that sucks.
Oh, do you mean Vienna is white? Oh, okay. Oh, wait. Okay, let's flip the board and look at this from the white perspective. Okay, let's slow down. Okay, so against this pawn push, what's your move after this pawn push? Right,
I'll just kind of like ignore it unless it immediately challenges one of my moves.
Right, and you're playing this move, right?
Yes.
So, okay, so this is the closed Sicilian. What you're thinking of is you're thinking of this pawn push and then this knight move, right?
Wait, oh, yeah, I see it says Vienna game now, but... Oh, it changes based on how black responds, even though white's moves are like the same.
Right, exactly, yeah. So that's the thing. When black puts the pawn here, when black plays e5, this is the Vienna opening. You're still going to play g3, bishop g2 anyway. So it's just a difference of what black's first move is in terms of how you differentiate which move it is. Or which opening it is, sorry.
I was just mostly curious because I figured Vienna was like too hard to remember, so I like calling it the Virgin. But like closed Sicilian is like way too far off from Virgin, so I don't get to like be like the Virgin.
Okay.
But anyway, could we go back to that game state that was like after the Virgin was completed?
Sure. Okay. Okay, I'll flip the board again. Yeah.
Wait. Oh. I should be looking at black's perspective. Yes. Okay. So black has the setup we were talking about earlier. So I imagine people who are in the PogChamps, some of them might see this, and I was wondering. I may as well prep myself in case someone wants to prep secretly and figure it out. How would you personally like beat this defense? Like,
okay, so the way that the way that it normally works is because you get this big attack going towards white's king. Normally, white tries to attack on the queen side and use this long diagonal effectively. So what you would want to do specifically is in this position, you push this pawn here. Because very oftentimes you want to attack. Of course, you want to castle and push the pawn. But in order for white to start attacking with this pawn push, because that's why you moved the rook in the first place, white has to push this pawn now. And so now you would castle. They go b4, and now you trade. And the reason that you do this is because now your rook has this open file here.
Yeah, he already moved his rook.
Right. So white tries to use the rook of the pawn to gain space, but you open up this file for the rook, because really your rook is most likely not going to end up on the king side. So now you would play bishop to e6. Let's say white pushes the pawn, and now you'd move the knight up to d4 here.
And just trade?
Right, so in this case, I know you don't like the stacked pawns like this, but they're actually quite effective. Because if white moves this knight here, now you can move the queen up. Or wait, sorry, no, that's actually a bad move. First you would say move the king up here. And the idea is to move this queen and put this bishop here to try and reduce the effectiveness of this light square bishop.
Wait a second, why did I move the king up?
So, okay, if you move the queen here, then this is a trap you should be very aware of. There's a good move for white here. I wonder if you can actually see it.
I see it not because I'm a good chess player, but because you previously suggested that this was the proper move.
Right. So yeah, when I take the bishop, then you have the fork, of course.
Damn, I'm smart. Sorry, go on.
No, but this is actually a common theme. Like even when you play the close Sicilian, your opponent might try to play like this and blunder this this fork idea. So you would move the king up first, and the idea long term is that this bishop can become very strong on this diagonal. So you want to bring the queen and then try to exchange this bishop with bishop h3, or force white to put the bishop back. So normally it would be something like bishop b2 here, and you would go queen to d7. Idea to play bishop h3 and exchange these bishops, because like if white just makes a normal move, you go here, and you can't move the bishop because then you would lose the rook. And if you
couldn't white do the same thing where he like moves this pawn up and then king behind?
Okay, so yeah, if white tries to do the same thing here, which is actually a reasonable idea, what you would do is you would bring the queen up, white moves the king, and now you just start to take space. So you would push the pawn, attack the knight goes back, and then you would push this pawn to create this nice I don't know what you would call it, but you push this pawn and you take a lot of space in the center part of the board here. And you also still control this open file with your rook.
Okay. So, this seems like a very solid defense for black. How would white go about like dismantling this?
Well, black's already much better. So, the way.
So how could white stop that from happening then?
So normally what would happen is your opponent would probably try to play like e3 to stop you from being able to jump with the knight. And now you would do the same idea, bring the queen up, idea to play bishop h3. They go b5, and now you go knight to d8, again with this idea of bishop to h3.
Back.
Right, but again...
Yeah, there's no other good moves for the knight.
Right, but what you want to do is... normally what a good player would do is they would move their rook here, so that when you play this bishop move, they can move the bishop back, and you no longer win the rook, and they keep this long diagonal alive still.
Oh, that is pretty sick.
But now what you do is now you push the pawn. Let's say white plays a move like bishop to b2, and now you bring your knight. I think both squares are fine, but I think knight f7 is the best move, and now you try to start attacking with g5 and f4, or g5 g4. And long term what you want to do is you want to just put everything over here towards the king's side.
I see. And you don't care about your king's safety because like he's going to be spending everything defending.
Right, like but your king is very safe behind these pawns that are attacking. Your king is completely safe, in fact.
Okay. Yeah, I see. And then like white doesn't really have anything to attack on the queen
right,
side.
the only thing white has is this bishop on the long diagonal. But for example, if white moves the knight to try to activate it, you can just push this pawn, and when white trades, you just take back. And now there's not even a weakness on this open b file anymore.
Okay. So I'm looking at this position from black's perspective, and I see that you have a bunch of pawns and then a bunch of minor pieces backing it up. Would the next move be f pawn push?
So the next move would actually be pawn push to g5, because if you play f4, this is a very committal move. Like, let me just make a move. Actually, it's hard to make a random move, but I'll make a random move. When you push this pawn, you do give white this critical square for the knight. Like, the knight can jump to this square.
Okay.
So
I'm sorry about that.
Oh no, that's fine. So like the way you do that is you would prepare it first by pushing this pawn and then pushing the pawn to f4 next move.
Can't the knight still do the same thing?
Yeah, but then it's a little bit different because let's just say we reach this position. In this position, when white moves the knight, you can also now start to force this knight out of there with d5. And you just basically create all this extra space to move your pieces onto this f file.
Okay, I see. So when I suggested f5, it was like a bit too soon. Still need
f4, but yeah.
I see. And like my preparation as black is a higher value than white's preparation because white is kind of stuck. There's not really any good moves he can make.
Right, really the only danger is that you push too far. You try to attack too aggressively, and you end up opening like diagonals, and you end up your king comes under attack, maybe on like the E line, for example, on the E file, for example. But for the most part, that's not really an issue here because white is very passive.
Am I ever gonna do something with this rook on the A8?
Normally you just leave it there, but if down the road you move this knight, you can always try to double your rooks down towards this F2 pawn.
Okay, so for the most part, in most cases, you would not be going here. It probably won't
No,
open
no,
up.
very rarely. Very rarely. Usually you just
I see.
you're trying to just blunt the effectiveness of this bishop on the diagonal and this rook, and you just try to prepare to attack everything towards the white king.
So, it sounds like from the beginning, like this is a position you've seen many times and have like studied at some point in your career.
I've played many games like this, yeah.
So, how much of like your games are just kind of encyclopedia like knowledge, like my encyclopedia in my brain says to do this, and how much of it is like sitting there like calculating moves out?
So I'm obviously always calculating, but a lot of what happens in this in these close Sicilian positions is white almost always tries to attack. It's always some idea with b4, b5, and trying to attack down towards this rook and this pawn. So I am always calculating, but the first like 10 to 15 moves, I always have a basic setup, and then it's a matter of the finesses of what white can do and black can do and what the responses are. But I don't really think that that's going to be super important, because sort of this idea like playing e3, for example, is something that's very advanced. It's not something that I think most people will consider, because a 1400 should not really be able to understand why this is so bad for white, because you think, okay, black has 2 pawns, like these are double pawns, so it should be pretty bad. But it's actually not, because the pawn on d4, even though it's doubled, it really kind of takes away critical squares from the knight and from like white developing this bishop even.
Yeah, both pawns are like providing good value, even if doubled up here.
Right, so this is like one of these things that a grandmaster would kind of understand and prepare for, but 1400 will not understand this at all. Like, it's just not. It's just a very advanced thing, which is why I really like this setup, because it's very easy to play for black, and unless your opponent is very strong, there's almost no way they're going to be able to defend against all your attacking ideas on this king side here.
Okay. When you play your games out, how much of your time, like, are you roughly spending the same amount of time on each move, or would you say there are certain parts of the game that take up a majority of your time?
I would say certainly this middle part, like this position we have on the board right now, somewhere like moves 15 to 20 are going to be the most critical period. It's going to be the most critical period of the game, no matter where you are, what level you're at in chess. So I would say in general, the opening phase, try to get to like move 10 as quickly as you can without using too much time, because this middle part is where you should be using, it's 10 plus 5. So I would say probably using like 7.5 minutes, and then making sure by like move 30 you have 2.5 to 3 minutes at least, so that then you can use like your 5-second increment and make moves quickly. But definitely the middle part of the game, these middle like 5 to 10 moves from move 15 up to probably move 30 are the most critical moves. Doesn't matter if it's you or it's me or whoever it is, but that's the period when you should use the most time.
Yeah, I've been spending a lot of time on my openings, which I felt like was a huge like flaw. I always like use half of my time before like move 15, and then I leave myself with like only the increment left in the end game, and then I always blunder my way out.
Right, I think, yeah, it's very important that in the middle part of the game that you or not middle part, but then in the opening part, that you do make the moves very quickly. Really important. And I would say even if you're not 100% sure, I would still try to move quicker, at least until you're in the final, until you're in the champions bracket. And then like obviously you'll have more time to see what your opponents are doing and how to prepare for something specific. And in that case, since you're going to have time to prepare, you'll also be able to get out of the opening much more quickly, because everybody in the final bracket is going to have a set series of openings that they play.
Yeah, that is interesting. Okay, yeah, I see how like with a little bit more studying, I can just get the first like 10 moves, regardless of what happens, kind of down to an autopilot science.
Exactly, and that's what you absolutely want. You want to be able to get those first 10 moves, just get your king out center, get the development, and then use your time in the middle part. Especially when you're playing against the other competitors who are the contenders. That middle part of the game is going to decide whoever comes up with the best plans, because you're not going to see a lot of real big blunders. So that's when you're going to need to use the time.
Okay. There was something specific I wanted to try to see if there was anything I could learn from it.
Okay. So white or black?
I'll play as white first.
Okay.
We can just use this analysis board. We don't have to do a real game.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so I just want to play, and then whenever you feel like the game is like over, You just like say it. You tell me why, and then we start over.
Okay.
Okay.
Do you want me to play something specific or not?
Play something different every time.
Okay.
So for the most part, I'm just going to be doing the same things and try to prepare towards this like really comfortable opening.
Mm-hmm.
I've never seen that move before. Interesting.
I'll bring the knight in. This is actually another way to set it up, because I'm basically trying to play like you're playing with the knights on the same squares.
Okay. Okay, good. I made the first 8 moves, and you didn't say the game was over yet.
So far, it's pretty good.
I feel like I've checked off every box on pushing F4.
Well,
I don't-
actually, when you play the closed Sicilian, or whichever side you play it for, you want to move your bishop first before playing it right away.
Like
Because
right here.
if you were to push the pawn here, I'm going to push this pawn in the center. And you'll see you can't actually really develop your bishop anymore. Because if you go here, I'll
wasn't
go
this
d4.
where I was gonna put it? Oh, I see. So I should move it here first.
Right, because then you also attack the pawn.
This is wrong. That is not the correct move.
This is actually a very normal move.
Oh, really? Wait. Oh. I understand. This bishop for me is of so much value. I don't want to trade it for like another bishop or another knight.
Okay.
So I would assume that this bishop for you also has that same value.
Mm-hmm.
So you would definitely not want to trade it off. You would... Wait a second, what? Are you sure that's a normal move? Because then you take with pawn and then I'm forked?
It's over.
Wait, but you said that was a very normal move.
No, I was saying knight d4 by me was a normal move.
Oh, I've been tricked.
Oh, yeah, I was saying my move was normal. My knight move was normal. Sorry. Yeah, I was saying my move was normal, knight d4. Sorry.
All right, okay, go back to here. I'll figure this out. The best move for white is... I think it's just the F4 push.
Okay.
Okay, game's not over yet. This is what I like to hear. No. I haven't done anything on this side of the board.
Yeah, I mean the correct move here is very, very. I mean the main idea that you want to play here is very, very hard to understand.
Don't
like
tell me.
there's literally no
Figure-
way that you would find it. So you want to bring the queen forward. Now
That
I'm
was
gonna
my
move-
7th move. I would have found that in 7 tries.
Right. Yeah, this move you would have found, but it's the next 2 moves that are very, very hard to come up with because they're not normal at all. So what you're supposed to play here is bring this rook over.
Oh yeah, I'd never do that in my life.
Let's say I move my bishop, and now you have a move that you would never play, which is you bring this knight back.
Oh right. Well, you did mention that earlier.
Right, although when I mentioned this because I was trying to remove your knight. Here I'm not removing your knight. But the idea is that when let's say I move my rook, you then push this pawn to get rid of this knight, because this knight is really sort of cramping your central squares. And then I
Okay,
take...
so...
Mhm.
Uh-oh. So the reason this knight went back was just because it didn't have anywhere else to go, and I want to free up this spot.
Right, and also when you play this move, you'll notice that now the long diagonal is kind of closed. The pawns guard each other, and the bishop doesn't have any real attacking ideas.
Oh.
And
So, like-
additionally... Mhm.
So I've shifted everything over to the right side of the board,
Right, because you
and
want to
then-
prepare to attack.
and I've left your bishop with like nothing good to do here.
Right.
Oh. Okay.
So, I mean, this is very advanced and this won't happen, but this is actually the way that you're supposed to play this, is try to get everything over to one side of the board where my king is, and then you want to start attacking. Like, you want to go rook here, or even knight here, and then start pushing the pawn and bringing your bishop down the board.
Okay. Okay, let's continue.
Okay.
I feel like I like the doubled up rooks better.
Mm-hmm.
No, I don't. I apologize. She's playing Valorant for the first time.
Oh, that's fine. That's wow, really? Okay.
What? No, you're good. I just needed to clarify that you were playing Valorant. Don't be too proud of her. This is her 4th game, so it's her first. It's a little late for that, but it's okay. It's progress. Anyway, I'm thinking taking this is not correct. I feel like that cramps my F pawn push. But is there a way I can? There's not really a way I can continue pushing this F pawn, is there?
Right. So the way that you would try to continue here is you would try to you would actually push this pawn forward here.
Oh, I want you to take something so then I can.
Right, so it's a very close position, but whoever opens it up is going to probably create weaknesses. So let's say I take this pawn, and this is an important point. So here, which piece would you capture with?
200% the pawn.
Yeah, it is. Because what happens is now these pawns are weak.
Pawn storm.
Right, but also the pawns are very weak in the center now. So like when I go here, you actually don't try to pawn storm. You now shift your attention to this pawn. And you'll see that all my pawns are kind of collapsing here in the center.
Oh, yeah, because you can no longer push this up.
Right, because then your pawn captures.
I shifted my weight over. Oh my god, chess is a fighting game.
Yeah, so like that's the thing is like when you reach this position, you're reaching a position where you're sort of asking for black to do something. And if black doesn't do anything, like let's say I don't know, maybe I move the queen. Long term, you can also play something like this. And scoot your king over and try to attack like this. So let's say we move the king.
Scoot my king over. Oh, I see.
And then go here.
Get the rook there.
Let's say I go here, and now you can start to play like. There are many things you can do, but you can play like knight h3, with the idea of moving the knight to g5.
Yeah, that's like surprisingly not well protected.
Or to move your bishop and then double these rooks on this g file as well.
Oh. Is there one that is the best, or do you feel like both of them have a lot of possibilities?
Both of them have a lot of possibilities, but this is why like it's very important that if your opponent tries to close the center and stop the attack, you don't care. You still push and you get ready to capture the other way and open up this file here.
Okay. When you showed those two possible attacks, one where I moved the bishop.
Mm-hmm.
Oh wait.
Okay, I'll just go forward. I'll go forward. Yeah. So like this one. Wait, sorry. Here. Mm-hmm.
Ah, there we go. Okay. So one of the attacks was. Wait, didn't you say double up the rooks?
Right. So you can do. So first, I would say move the knight. Because now you clear the square. You clear the square.
Wait, are you saying move the knight here? This is the only place I can think of to move it.
H3, yeah.
Okay. And then, what would black do?
I mean, probably I would try to play something like maybe bishop to f6.
I see. If I do this, would black just trade rooks?
Yeah, he would. So what you probably would do here,
Oh yeah, it makes me like make negative progress.
Right. So what you probably do here, I mean, this is very advanced again, is probably trade the pawns and
open up the bishop.
And
I see. Attack something and free it up.
Right, but again, you have to be careful because your king is open too if you try to exchange the bishop.
Oh, you're right.
But what you probably would do here is now you try to push the pawn in the center.
I see. Again, like whoever's the one who attacks will create a weakness.
Right. And so now let's say you trade the pawns here.
This pawn is so lonely.
Well, what you want to do here is actually want to take the space in the center, and then you want to put your bishop here and try to attack towards black's king.
Yes, the king is like definitely a weakness. He has like nowhere good to go.
Right. So I mean, something like this is what I would recommend. Of course, nobody's going to play like this in the tournament, so this won't happen, obviously. But the basic concepts here are that you want to shift everything towards this side of the board.
Okay.
I mean, this is very advanced. Like, this is stuff that I would not even... actually, like, even here, you don't even have to push the pawn. You can also move your knight back and then really just ask this knight where the knight's going. But this is, okay. I mean, this is very, very advanced stuff. So I wouldn't really expect anybody to play like this.
All right, I'm ready.
But mainly you want to attack on the king's side.
I think I have reached critical mass in my brain.
Oh yeah, I mean this is like really, really advanced stuff. Like this is stuff that like I would probably like most people who I would show this to are probably like at least 2200 plus. So it's very advanced, but I think the main thing is just remember, shift everything to where the king is, try to bring everything over and attack. And I mean, I'm noticing like every single person who's playing in the tournament seems to be here now. So clearly everybody's trying to learn the strats. But basically, yeah, just
so
shift
let's play a match.
Okay.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah. What were you gonna say? You want to play an actual game?
Yeah, let's play an actual game. I'll strike fear in their hearts.
Okay.
By not losing until move 20.
Okay. All right. Let me see. I guess, is there a way to do it with increment? I haven't actually checked.
Do what with increment?
To challenge you?
Oh, challenge someone to a match with increment. Let me see if it's doable. Yes, I can challenge you to a 10-5.
Okay, cool. All right, then I'll just accept it when you challenge me. It's just Hikaru, Hikaru.
Did it work?
It did, yeah. Yeah, okay. All right. So you said your last 20 moves or 12 moves? What was the number?
20.
20? Okay. Let's see if you can.
Wait, there's no way you checkmate me in less than 20. I'll give you 10 subs if you checkmate me before move 20.
Okay.
On
okay.
or before move 20.
Okay.
There's no way.
Great success.
How can you possibly checkmate me that early? I want to see it for myself. Okay, so right off the bat, you took me out of my comfort zone by doing something I wouldn't have expected.
Right.
Okay. I feel like my conventional plans don't work anymore.
Well, you should have played something different on the second move. Already it's
Yeah, I feel like this goes back to the first lesson you gave me, not the second one. I'm playing based off the most recent lesson because I have the memory of a goldfish. But I do vaguely remember you telling me how to counter that move with a different
you're
pattern.
supposed to capture the pawn and then bring the knight out for development to attack the queen.
It's okay. I can recover from this. I see.
Okay.
Okay, all right. I have no idea if this is good, but I'm so curious to try this.
Mm-hmm.
Ah! This feels like a Jerome kind of game.
It's interesting. It's probably not good, but it's interesting.
Wait, you immediately knew what I was thinking before I even did any of those moves. What?
Yeah, I mean, I only looked at this like probably like 17 years ago. So.
Aren't you like 21?
Good one, Albert. Good one. Good one.
Wait, I can't believe this is like a line of moves you've looked at some point.
I looked at this when I was very young. I remember this. I was looking at this when I was like 13 or 14 because I wanted to play a different setup against this first move, and computers weren't super strong back then. So I was very curious about this variation.
Huh. Okay. This is beyond any game I've ever seen, but I think I go here now.
Mm-hmm. This is good. Yeah, this is very good, actually. Okay, I will go here.
What? The Battle King? What? Oh. I'm beginning to understand. This is like the Matrix. Your guys are ganging up on me. My queen needs a hero. And deep behind the pawn wall, there lies one dark squared bishop. I just need to calculate if the bishop is coming to g5 or to h6. Pin the queen or fight. I want to say fight. I think I'm moving to h6. Wait! There's a free pawn. Wait, no, I'm getting distracted. No, save the queen. Eh?
My condolences.
Wait, my condolences? That sounds like it's already over. It is over! Oh, shit!
You still can probably survive 10 more moves.
Yeah, that's the goal at this point. Wait, what move was I supposed to make to save?
You could have moved your bishop up to d2, or you could have pushed a pawn.
Oh.
But you had to stop a check, basically. I was able to make a discover check on your king and take your queen. Okay.
This seems like this is a very strange game. Your king has like nothing there, and my team is in shambles. This makes me suspect that. Oh God, I might be paying the price. My gut tells me make a bunch of defensive moves, survive 7 more turns, but my heart wants to fight.
Mm-hmm.
Huh? What are you planning on doing with that? How can this knight do anything other than a fork? I'm sure you know I'm going to castle, so why did you put this knight here? Oh my god, you're going to sack the knight. You're going to go knight f3, sacrifice it for my pawn to open up the space, and then my king is going to get suffocated, mate.
You have a right idea, but that's actually not checkmate enough moves, actually.
Oh my god, you have something else planned.
Because if you castle your king and I go knight f3 check, you take the knight, I move the rook over, and you can actually move your rook and run with your king to the center of the board.
Ah, yes. I knew that. I was
Although,
ready for that.
unfortunately, this doesn't work. Like, I wasn't sure how to phrase it, because this doesn't work.
Wait, so if you're not going to knight f3 check me...
You probably... I don't know if you've seen this checkmate idea.
This checkmate idea... Eh? Okay, I only have one move. Nani? What? Move 19! That was insane.
Yeah, so I don't know if you've seen this checkmating pattern. It's a rare checkmating pattern. Where basically you sack something and your knight guards the critical square. So it's like when you've got the king and it has to come into the center on one way, like backwards or forwards. There is a specific name of this checkmate. I forget what it's called. It's called the Anastasia checkmate, actually. Where the knight just stops the king from moving anywhere. And then, like, whether it's a rook or a queen, it's just a forced checkmate.
I see. Were you, like, counting the moves, like you're like, ah, yes. Checkmate with one move to spare.
Well, I mean, what I was going for was I was trying to find a way to find a checkmate. I mean, this is actually a great checkmate because it's not a pattern that you'll see that frequently either. But yeah, I was looking for a way to try and come up with a checkmate. And castles is actually the most obvious move. And I was very happy you saw knight f3, though, because knight f3 is a logical idea to make this checkmate. There's no need to actually share the board. But if you go back to knight f3 on move 17.
Knight f3, move 17. Okay.
And white takes the knight.
Yeah,
and then rook h8.
There's not enough to finish it off.
Right, because you can move the rook next to your king over 2 squares, and your king runs on the light squares to the center of the board.
I see. Knight e2 does the same thing, but lets the knight stay there. It doesn't open up any possibilities for white.
Right, and then I sack the queen, and I make that very unfortunate checkmate. Which, this is actually something, though, be aware of, this Anastasia checkmate, because you might have an opportunity. It's very frequent that there's something where you can make a check, and then the knight covers the squares where the king goes. But if you hadn't castled your king, you would have survived to move 20.
Oh, that's so cool. All right, do you know about how the sub-gifting algorithm works?
Yeah, I think you've mentioned it. Sure. Yeah, I'll let you spin it. Why not?
I mean, it just Twitch doesn't gift out subs randomly. They actually try to find the 10 lowest elo players in your chat.
Did you actually tell me this story before?
I change it every time to fit the situation.
Okay. Yeah, I know you told me some variation of the story before. It's not the first time.
All right, that was thoroughly impressive how you managed to find checkmate in 19 moves.
Yeah,
I'm
sorry
glad
about
good
that.
On that line. No, this was very cool.
Yeah, this is an Anastasia checkmate though, so if you Google it. Yeah, thanks for 10 gifted. Appreciate it. Thanks, man. But yeah, definitely look up the checkmate because this might occur in some of your games. Although normally, what I would say with this checkmate when it occurs, it's when there's a rook that can swing side to side that's not on the back rank. So like if you imagine if you imagine the position with like the rook being on like e5 instead of a8, it's very common you'll see this checkmate where the rook goes from the side over, from one of the middle ranks.
Do you know the concept of object permanence?
No, I don't actually.
Oh, it's this thing that most toddlers develop between the ages of 2 and 3. where it's like understanding that even if you can't see something, it's still there.
So you're saying it's like that thing that's invisible, but you can sort of sense it intuitively, right?
I'm talking more on a much more primitive level where like if you cover a baby's eyes, they don't realize that you're still there. But at some point they learn that you are. I'm talking about the very basic stuff. I have not yet developed object permanence. So like all the moves that got me are like ones that involved like moving a piece like across the board. Like I didn't see that rook for the entire game. It wasn't there to me.
Okay.
I was like, how could you possibly checkmate me? And then you also like, I was looking at what bishop moves you could possibly make. I was like, none exist within 2 squares.
Right.
And then you got that discovered check and took my queen.
Right, exactly. Yeah, I think, yeah, that's one thing that's very hard to understand, because like you're just looking very close as opposed to seeing from far distance, like what are the moves like down the board. But I wouldn't worry too much about that at the moment, because I think in terms of like viewing that stuff, I think everybody is pretty much at the same level. And you actually are one of the better ones in terms of seeing the ideas. So don't worry. I would say just like be aware of like discovered attacks specifically.
Okay, so this string that we had where like you got my rook, everything was like opened up. Or sorry, I got your rook, everything was opened up, and like my queen was kind of in danger. You went battle king, moved your king towards my queen. Is this a very bad position for white?
I think it's probably about balance, but I also did it because it's something where if you make one wrong move, you're very likely to lose immediately. So what you should have done, I mean, white might actually even be better if you play it correctly, but what you had to do after king f7 was move, I think the best move is probably to move your bishop to d2.
Wait, can we go back to analysis board?
Sure, yeah, let me, I'll pull it up.
Let me it says you have a missed win.
Well, yeah, because I was trying to go for the checkmate. That's why.
Oh, you went for like a speedy checkmate. I see.
Yeah, that's why it's going to show me missing wins, because I tried to go for something that wasn't obvious. Okay, I'll just invite you.
Oh.
Okay.
Wait, did you send the invite?
Oh, yeah, I think I did. It's in live chess, though. Just, I think, go to the other tab. Yeah. Okay, so like, at this point, the critical move... I mean, I played this move because obviously you're like, well, I'm going to move the bishop.
Reinvite me. I closed the wrong tab.
Oh, okay. I'll reinvite you, sure. Okay. 1 second. It's being slow. Okay, there we go. Okay. Okay, so you have it up now, right? Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. So what I was gonna say is that basically, what you did was correct, because if you didn't take this pawn in the center, if you were to move your knight away, then I push the pawn, and I get these pawns in the center, and your knights get pushed all the way back because you can't move the knight anywhere. You have to go like back to G1, and then I just move the bishop, bring the knight out. I really go for quick attacks towards your king because now you're lacking in development. So
I see.
So that's why what you did is good. I think this is actually quite bad. If I think I was supposed to move my queen here, and I think this is probably just losing for white after queen e7. But again, I was trying to go for something where I would have chances of making a checkmate quickly, because I wanted those 10 gifted subs very badly.
Wait, so if you do queen up there, can't I still do the same thing? Where I,
Right, so what happens when you make the check is I push the pawn.
Okay, and then... Okay.
Yeah, it's fine. You can make the move. Right. Right, but see, this is the point. So this is one thing that is not going to occur because most people won't spot this. But first, I take the knight with check.
Oh. I see. And I have to do this.
Right, and now I want to see if you can find the move. I don't have to capture the knight here. I actually have a much better move.
I'm guessing it's this.
No, actually, okay, if I take this pawn... No, actually, okay, this is fine, though. What is the next move for white, though, if I take the pawn?
Oh, you're right.
Yeah, so you can move the knight to either square, h4 or f4 with the discover check on the king, and then you pick up the queen.
Okay. Sorry. So the move for white, or sorry, the move for black is actually to stop the discover check attack. It's not take the knight. It's got to be a queen move. None of the other pieces look like they're somewhere good. There's only so many to think of. I wouldn't imagine it's this. That doesn't feel good. You're still gonna get discovered checked and lose a rook. Something that stops all of those threats in one fell swoop. That's not just take the knight.
Yep.
Could it be? Eh? Okay, don't laugh. I will try that again.
No, I mean it's not an obvious move. It's not something that you're going to be familiar with as a pattern because it's a very odd pattern. It's not something that occurs very frequently.
Okay, now I have to solve this. Okay, it probably is something that it pays off 2 to 3 turns in advance or in the future.
Mm-hmm.
A move even better than taking knight. A move that pays off. Well, okay, first let's look at it from White's perspective. White is obviously going to move this knight. If it's not taken, White is going to look to move this knight.
I'm going to run to the restroom, so I'll let you think for the next minute. I'll be right back.
Okay. White is going to move the knight somewhere, anywhere that's not in front of the king, and discover a check. So then, how does Black stop this? Or maybe you don't stop this and you just deal with it and then get something better in return later on. He already confirmed it's not take the pawn because then that gets discover checked and then lose queen. This king is so naked, man. I'd be so uncomfortable if we're on that side right now. What could it possibly be? We already know it's not queen takes pawn. Something that sets up for the future. There's no piece development. What could possibly set up for the future? The only thing I can think of involves bishops.
Okay, so do you figure it out?
You poop so fast, man.
Right.
I feel like I've made some development, but I have not yet solved anything. Is the answer... Okay. I've narrowed it down to one of a few possible moves.
Okay.
Okay. It's either bishop e6.
Okay.
Bishop b4.
Mm-hmm.
Knight f6.
Okay.
Or queen e2. Oh, wait. No, it's not that one. I feel like it's one of those 3 moves. Those are the only moves I can possibly think of that may pay out later. Yeah, that's all I got. What's the answer?
The answer is knight to f6. Because you attack the queen. So like if white moves the knight, you just lose the queen. So
Okay.
white has to move the queen back to h3, and now I can just move my rook over. And do you see what's happened now? Like when you take the bishop, you do have some return. I think you have 2 pawns for the knight that you're down, but you're behind.
Which side is behind? Just
White.
White is behind.
Because you have 2 bishops. I have a bishop and 2 knights. So you actually have 2 pawns for the knight, but you're just behind because I have 1 more of these pieces, which is worth a lot more.
I see, but isn't like how open the king is like really, really scary?
Not really, because you can't actually get your king out of the center right away here. Because if you castle the king, you lose the bishop. So normally what you'd play here is something like d3, but I bring my queen back right away.
You just hold that line.
Yeah, and you'll see what happens is very quickly, like this is actually a very good move here. You bring the bishop out to attack my rook.
Uh-huh.
So I have to move the rook, and now you can actually castle the king.
What happens if... Right, okay, so you lose the bishop, and then... Oh, and then pin!
Exactly, yeah. But here I can move the bishop here, and then I can move the knight very quickly and castle the king out of the center immediately.
I see, and like we're back to kind of even ground where your king is no longer exposed, and you have the material lead.
Exactly, yeah. So that's why it's... Like, even though it looks like the king is very open, it's not completely... It's not as easy as it looks, because you have to waste, like, 1 extra move before you can get your king out of the center.
How common would you say these kinds of games are? This feels like an extreme gambit.
Very not common at all. Like I would say someone below maybe a 2000 ranking would never play like this. What I did is very very advanced.
Okay, so I remember like when we were playing this game out, you made this move, which I feel like we went over in like the lesson, and then I did not respond correctly to it.
Yeah, so when I meet the pawn push in the center by pushing my pawn, what you're supposed to do is you're supposed to capture the pawn. And when I capture, you bring your knight out because I've moved my queen to start the game.
Oh, right. And then you're kind of in danger.
Right. So I've wasted one move bringing the queen into the game. Now, black is probably okay after moving the queen around a little bit. But this is not something that a beginner will be doing because it's very random. And very quickly, your queen gets into a lot of trouble if you don't know exactly what to do.
Yeah, because like place the queen in the wrong spot and you just waste a lot of moves while white gets to develop pieces and chase.
Right, exactly, yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I see. This square can't easily be attacked.
Yeah.
Okay, so in this kind of situation, I should just like develop normally, pretend that queen isn't there.
Right. Right, but it's important that if I try to push the pawn in the center that you capture and just continue the normal development. So something like this, and if let's say I move my queen back, you move the bishop, you move the knight, and you get the king out of the center of the board very, very quickly.
I see. Is it ever wrong to just push?
Push the pawn to d4?
Yeah.
No,
E4,
this is completely
E5.
fine too. Any combination of these moves is fine as long as you're going to put the bishop. You're going to bring the bishop to the c4 square and target the pawn, and then bring the knight and castle the king. As long as you're going to do that in any order, it's completely fine. It doesn't really matter if you push the pawn or the bishop. Pushing the pawn might actually just be better. Or wait, is this what you mean, or do you mean on move 2?
Well, I understand what you've been saying here, but I felt like on move 2.
Okay, you meant e5 on move 2. So the reason that this is actually not the best move is because now I can push my pawn.
Oh, hang on.
Sure.
Man, I wanted to save the VOD of this too. I keep getting invites from people with inappropriate profile pictures. And then I have to delete my VOD.
Okay, well, okay, I'll tell the I'll tell the devs to after we do this, it'll take them like 15 seconds. They can shut it down. Actually, I'll write them this right now.
Choose your fate. Watch the show. Or watch the show. Thank you.
Thank you so much to Spraggy for the raid with 1663 people. Thank you so much. Thank you to Spraggy as well for the 15 months. Big shout out to everybody. We are doing some preparations ahead of PogChamps, which starts tomorrow. So we're looking at chess with Boxbox, who is one of the absolute
Is there a way
favorites
to
in the
fully
event.
like shut down invites?
Sorry, what's that?
Is there a way I can fully shut down invites?
I'll tell the devs to do it actually right now. You might get disconnected for like 15 seconds.
Okay, thanks. Maybe deleting the VOD is fine. Then the other competitors can't study me.
True. Okay, so you probably got disconnected, I'm guessing, you'll get disconnected for like 10 seconds.
From the website?
Yeah, probably in live chess it'll say you're timed out or something for like very briefly.
Okay. Oh, put my cam where the invites would be.
Okay, so it should be done actually. So you shouldn't be getting any invites.
Okay, sweet.
Let me
I think you have to invite me back to the analysis board.
Okay, sure. That's 1 second. Yeah, I just have to recapture you since you. Maybe just refresh the page as well while you're at it. Okay. All right. So are you still there? Do you still see moves or not?
I'm not there. I'm just at my profile.
Okay, let me re-invite you then. Actually, 1 second. Yeah, just go back into live chess. So click on play and live chess.
Okay, I'm back to live chess.
Okay, there should be a board up. Is it?
Oh yeah, I'm here.
Okay, so you see me making moves?
Yes, I see the board going all around the place.
Okay, all right. So you were asking what's wrong with e5 on move 2, right? So the reason that this pawn push on move 2 is not the best move is because you end up in a position that is a little bit different, because now I can push the pawn to c5.
Okay, and then.
And what would your
I would
next
do
move
this
be
way.
here?
It's one of these two pawns, but I never know which one's better.
Right, so if you push this pawn here, I can capture, and what ends up happening is exactly what should have happened on the on move 2, which is if I take with the queen, now black gets to attack your queen, because you've moved your queen out too early here.
I see. So then we go back, and then we.
Right, so what you would have to play is something like f4, but actually black can now develop this bishop. And what would your next move be?
Oh gosh. I feel like knight comes out.
Right, and so now I will just bring my knight out.
Okay, and then my king like is very exposed, so I'm going to look to castle ASAP. But I do see I feel like that's good value.
Okay, so actually now I'll play a different order. I'll play the pawn push first instead, just because I want to show you something specific.
Okay, so now I'm just gonna look to castle queen side and get my king out of the center. So.
You mean king side, right?
I can't push up 2 squares. I feel really weird pushing up 1 square, especially before my bishop comes out. Maybe I do the opposite. Maybe I do this thing with the bishop.
Okay, so I'll develop my knight.
Oh, and then at this point I go here, right?
Okay, now I'll bring my knight out.
I see. So now when I take, you replace the knight.
Right. And so now I'm going to give you an example of why this isn't best. So let's go back to move 1. So a very common opening setup for black is to play the French defense, where they push the pawn here. You push your pawn, they push their pawn to contest the center.
Okay.
And now you can push this pawn, they push their pawn, and you push this pawn. They bring the knight, and you bring your knight out. Now, I'm not saying you should play this way, but this is just, I'm just trying to make a point here. So what you see is white has a very strong center here, because all the pawns and the knight sort of guard each other.
Yeah.
So now you look at this position. But now let's go back to the other position. Let's go back to this position.
Wait, how do you just go back like that?
I just clicked on a move. I clicked on the other position.
Oh, it's like kind of saved in the log. I see. Okay. So yes, going back to here.
So do you see what the difference is? Okay, so look at this position for 1 second.
I can't get that pawn chain up.
Right, but also there's one other big difference, which is that my bishop is outside of the pawn chain.
Oh, you were able to get your bishop out first.
Right. So the reason that if you push the pawn, this isn't so good relative to like this position is because here the bishop is inside. The bishop is locked behind these pawns, so I can't create attacks. Right. So the thing is, in order to get that setup where I have these pawns on these nice central pawns attacking everything, I have to make a concession. Like I have to have this bishop underdeveloped. But if you do it where you play e5 on move 2, I get everything for free. I get it carte blanche, where like I can bring my bishop out, and like even if you wait, sorry, no, I play c5 on move 2. If you play f4, like I get the structure that I want, and not only do I get the structure, but I have the bishop on a very good square where it's outside of the pawns, and it can attack all your forces.
Oh. So that's why you said like let me flip the order around, because once this pawn comes out, now you can set up the replacement knight thing. Whereas
right, and I don't get the stacked pawns. I don't get the double pawns.
Oh. Okay. That's cool. That helps me figure out when it's good to make that bishop pin.
Right, so if someone does play this, which I don't think anyone will, just take the pawn and bring out the knight quickly and attack the queen as fast as possible.
Okay. Yeah, that does sound reasonable. And then it seems like one of those things where like most beginners won't easily be able to handle that.
Right, exactly. Yeah. So that's what I recommend for an opening strategy. If someone does this, I don't think anyone will, but if they do, you should play like this.
Okay.
So any other questions before the event gets rolling, or you feel pretty good?
Could you send me a link to that? Wait, did you send me the link to it?
Oh,
you had, like, a
to
thing
the actual
open.
schedule?
Yeah.
Okay, I'll do that in Discord. Yeah, I'll do that. Yeah, for sure.
So, when we played that like game where you mated me in 19 moves, what's the word I'm looking for? Oh, you forced me to not be able to do what I wanted to do.
Right.
Or was there a way that I could still do what I wanted to do?
Well, I basically forced you. Tried to get you into something where you would make a mistake right away because you were uncomfortable, and you didn't know my opening strategy where I pushed this pawn. So you just figured, okay, you can bring the knight out to guard the pawn. But it was basically me knowing a way to kind of trick you into getting into a position where you had to do something immediately, and if you didn't respond exactly in the right way, you would be losing or getting checkmated very early on in the game.
I see. So, like, let's say someone watches this VOD and they're like, oh, okay, like I'll do this against Boxbox. How can I like bring this back to like a normal game that is back in my comfort zone?
So, okay, don't do that. Just kill them. Just take the pawn. They'll take the pawn.
Kill the pawn. Yes, kill the pawn. Yes.
Bring the knight out. If they go back here, you push this pawn, bring the bishop, bring the knight, and get the king out.
Okay, do a different strat.
Yeah, exactly. Just develop your pieces and take the central part of the board. And if they bring the queen over to this side, just attack right away. Just push this pawn.
Wait, they just take it.
Yeah, and then play the rook out, attack this queen.
Oh.
So they end up losing, like you see, you get one pawn, but you've wasted a lot of moves. And now, again, just follow the same
knight comes
plan.
out. Oh.
Knight or pawn, I would probably recommend pushing this pawn first. And normally it's
Over,
something like this. Oh, yeah, that's also a move. But the thing is here, because your opponent has moved the queen 1, 2, 3, 4 moves to start the game, and you've moved out a knight and a rook, just you bring this knight out. Normally they have to try to develop something like a pawn push, and then you bring this bishop out right away. They try to develop. You castle, they castle. And now you bring the rook in and you try to bring the knight and develop your bishop and just push everything, sort of take complete control of the center, because black can't do a whole lot in the next couple of moves. So you just play to attack as fast as possible here, because you've got all your pieces on very, very good squares, and black has very little development of these 3 pieces.
Okay, wait, this does give me a question I want to know more about then.
Sure.
Just now, you said white wants to attack as fast as possible.
Mm-hmm.
How do you identify? Because like there are some games where it's also like there's no clear answer or there's no clear move, just like build up like a solid defense. How do you identify when it's one of these games where you want to push as fast as possible versus like just keep building up?
I think that this is very specific to if they push this pawn in the center. In most normal situations, you won't have this, but the point is when they do something like this and they bring the queen out early, it's fairly exotic. It's kind of unusual. So that's when you want to punish them, is if they do something, they violate the opening principles and they move a piece too many times to start the game. Because it's definitely violating the principles to bring your queen out. You make 1, 2 queen moves at the very start of the game in your first 3 moves. Like, that's not how you play chess. You don't bring your queen out super early.
Okay. I see. So what you're saying is we're mostly playing aggressively because our opponent violated the opening principles.
Right. He's brought the queen out. He's made too many moves with the queen. So you want to go right after your opponent here.
Okay, makes sense.
So this is what I would recommend.
When I saw this, I thought white should be looking at this square for the knight, but it sounded like you had a very different strategy of just like in general like attacking this area.
Well, it was more the center. It was like these 4 squares specifically.
Oh, okay. I see. I'm guessing like going for this is like kind of meaningless because it's very easily defended.
Right. The queen just guards the pawn very. The queen's just protecting the pawn very, very nicely here.
Okay. Okay. Yeah. So doing that would be like a case of pushing out too soon. I've lost so many positional battles off of pushing a piece like 2 moves too soon or something.
Right. I think in general, just like this is only this sort of opening where you want to be full on aggressive and just go right after your opponent.
Okay.
So.
Okay, that makes sense.
Cool. All right. So I guess yeah. If you need any help during the event, just let me know. I assume it should be pretty smooth for you, but again, obviously you still have to play well. But I think in your group, the first match against Ludwig is going to be probably the most interesting. I think the other 2 you should have a pretty good advantage. So. But let me know if you need any more help, okay?
Okay. Oh, do you know the rankings of my opponents?
I know Ludwig, I think, is maybe around 1100, I think. I think Papa Platt is in your group. I think he's about 800. And the fourth one is... who's the fourth one? Chat, who's the fourth one? I think it's Swiftor, who I think also is very new to the game. He might be like 700 or 600 even. So I think you should be fine.
I see. And then I do have one question about the tournament format, if you know it.
Yeah.
The top 2 of every group go to the final bracket, the main bracket.
Correct, yes.
But how is seedings done within that?
Okay, sure.
Like,
So I can actually find that. Give me 1 second. Let me find that. Where is it? 1 second. Give me 1 second. I just got to pull it up in Slack. Right. So, okay. It will be... Let me see. 1 second. It will be... Let me see. Okay. So which group are you in again? 1 second. You are in Group D. So if you're in Group D, you will be playing... If you win, you will play the second seed in Group C, which... Group C, I believe it's Forsen, Slicker, Nim, and Choco Bars. So I'm assuming you will probably play Nim, Slicker, or Choco Bars, one of those 3, because I'm assuming that Forsen will probably win the group.
Oh, I see. So it's already been predetermined, like, first seed of D faces second seed.
Yeah, actually, I'll just read it out because there are a lot of people watching as well. So let me just read it out for everybody. So it will be the Group A winner plays second place of Group B. The Group D winner plays the second place in Group C. The Group C winner plays second place in Group D. Group B winner will play the second place in Group A. Group A plays or no, that's it. That's just first and second in each group. So yeah. So basically, Group A winner plays second place in Group B. Group D winner plays second place in Group C. Group C winner plays second place in Group D, and Group B winner plays second place in Group A.
Okay.
So I don't know how it works beyond that, but just your first match, assuming that you do finish in first, you will play Nim, Slicker, or Choco Bars, assuming that what I'm saying holds true.
Okay, that makes sense. I was just like studying the brackets slightly to see if I was going to be playing against Voyboy or Hutch anytime early on in the bracket.
Okay, so I'm assuming you're in group. You said you're in Group D, right?
Yeah.
So if I understand it correctly, you're assuming I understand it correctly, you probably will play the winner of Group A versus second place in Group B if you win that match. And I forget who. I think Voyboy is in Group A, right? Let me check. I don't know right off, but I'll tell you. I'll check it all out, and I'll make sure to send you the links and all that stuff.
Okay.
Cool.
Thanks. I think that's all I needed for now.
All right. Well, kill it, man. You're one of the favorites, so I'm looking forward to seeing you in action.
Yeah. Did I tell you about my
Personal grudge against Voyboy.
I feel like yeah. I think you mentioned that on stream last night, right? Didn't he? He took something away from you in League.
Masters promos in League.
Right. So now you want to beat him in this.
Yes. It's personal.
Nice. It's good to see the competitive spirit. I mean, it's good to see. So yeah, I think you're probably gonna play him most likely. Just do your best, and I guess hopefully it's not a repeat.
Okay, I'll let you go get back to your stream.
Right.
I'm gonna go practice more rapid games. At some point, I'll switch to 10-5. But yeah, thanks so much for the lesson.
Yeah, no problem.
Send me the links when you get the chance.
Absolutely, will do.
Otherwise, have a great rest of the stream.
Yeah, you too, Albert.
All right.
All right.
See you later.
Bye.